Hello everyone, and welcome back to another remote sensing lecture video. And in this video, I want to clarify something before we go any farther. And that is the difference between what we've been talking about, right? In the previous video, we talked about something called the spectral response curve. Right? And we said that a spectral response curve was basically a graph that shows percent reflectance as a function of wavelength. Right, so this is sort of the definition that we've assigned to this idea of a spectral response curve. What you will see in software like ArcGIS Pro, in a lot of textbooks, right? Textbooks will talk about spectral response curves, but then they'll go in and they'll start showing pictures of things that come from remote sensors, like satellite sensors, airplane sensors, drone sensors, right? The things that we're concerned about in remote sensing primarily. And you will often see them sort of use a term that looks very similar, but that is actually called a spectral profile. Right, spectral profile. Now, these two things, right, they're not, you'll see them used interchangeably, and I guess at a very high level they really are, but you have to be very careful with what your definitions are because these are not, right, they're not actually completely interchangeable. Because a spectral response curve shows the percent reflectance, or I guess I should specify, or radiance, right? We could have or radiance as a function of wavelength versus a spectral profile, right? This is something specific to imagery. And this shows, right, this is a graph that shows pixel values as a function of bands. Right. Now, like I said, at a high level, these two things tend to be used interchangeably, but there really is a difference, right? Spectral response curve is sort of pure, right? This is every wavelength across a given region, and it's about a specific object, right? Versus the spectral profile shows a pixel value as a function of bands, right? And so if we just quickly sketch out, again, I'm going to be quick about this. So I apologize if my art skills are lacking here. All right, if we have this pixel right here, right, this pixel right here. So these are bands. Right, this is a very crude remote sensing data structure, right? And so with a spectral response curve, right, we're just going to assume I'm going to make the statement, right, that this is vegetation, right? That the thing that is in this pixel, right, the thing this pixel is remote sensing is vegetation, right? When we talk about a spectral response curve, right, the spectral response curve, right, is going to look like we have wavelength on the x-axis, and on the y-axis we have percent reflectance, right? Percent ref, REF, percent reflectance, right? And we said it's going to look something like this, right? This is a spectral response curve. It's measuring every wavelength from the starting point to the stopping point of whatever region that we're interested in, right? This is the spectral response curve. What a spectral profile is going to do, right? Now this is the pixel value, and it's going to have band 1, band 2, band 3, right? And this is the x value. All right, so there's going to be a value for band 1, there's going to be a value for band 2, there's going to be a value for band 3, and let's just say that we go to band 4. So what we've done here is we've sort of taken what was originally this continuous curve of every single wavelength, right? And we've broken it up. Now we have a value for the pixel in band 1, right? We have a value for the pixel in band 2, we have a value for the pixel in band 3, and we have a value for the pixel in band 4. And I'm just going to sort of connect the dots here just to show you, right? These lines, there is no data in these lines, right? This is just to kind of connect the dots. And you can see here that we have roughly the same shape that we would have in the actual, right? In the actual spectral response curve, right? This is our gold standard. Actually, that's terrible. That was going to be a star. Let's try that again. Right, this is our gold standard. This is every wavelength, right? But with the spectral profile, we've only got 4 bands, and you can see that we kind of generally have the same shape, but we've lost a lot of information, right? This is no longer a true spectral response curve. Instead, this is a spectral profile. I know that was a little bit long-winded, but hopefully that makes sense. And we're going to look at a lot of examples. And in this course, right, 90% of the things that we're dealing with in remote sensing are actually spectral profiles. And we're going to go through a lot of examples of spectral profiles, talking about what they show, how we can use what they show, how we can sort of interpret in a connection to imagery. But again, I just want to make clear here the difference between a spectral response curve, which shows the reflectance as a function of wavelength, and the spectral profile, which shows pixel values as a function of bands. Now, normally the bands will be in wavelength order, but that lets you have the same shape. But again, right, we've lost a lot of information because a spectral profile is not necessarily identical to a spectral response. Hopefully that makes sense. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.